My name is Lisa, and until recently, I thought my life was just ordinary, but that all changed when I was told, to take care of my sister-in-law, Lucy, while my husband Jack and his family went on a fancy vacation to Hawaii. Jack had made it very clear. He looked at me with those cold eyes and said, "Make sure you take care of Lucy, don't slack off." Then they left, just like that, the whole family, off to paradise, leaving me behind with a woman everyone believed was mute and bedridden. But the moment they were gone, Lucy sat up in bed, grinned at me, and said, "Let's go too." That's when everything began to change. I'm 29 now. Back when I was a teenager, I had dreams of becoming a pop star. I chased that dream for a while, but eventually I gave it up. It felt like chasing smoke. I met Jack through a friend, mostly because my mom kept pressuring me to settle down and have kids. Jack was nice enough at first. He worked at a big trading company in Manhattan, wore nice suits, and said all the right things. After we got married, I quit my job at the bank and tried to be the good wife his family expected. Then I met Lucy. Lucy, Jack's younger sister, had suffered brain damage from an illness as a child. They said she couldn't talk, couldn't move. Everyone treated her like a piece of furniture. But when I visited the family home in Nebraska and sat with her, she looked me in the eyes. Somehow, we clicked. She started teaching me sign language, and I learned fast. We became friends. But not everyone welcomed me. Jack's mother never liked me. She'd drop by our condo without warning, criticize everything from the way I folded Jack's shirts to how I set the table. She called him Jackie, like he was still 10 years old, and always expected me to wait on him like a servant. At first, Jack was sweet. If I felt sick, he'd take me out to eat. If I admired a purse in a shop window, he'd buy it the next month. But about a year into our marriage, something changed. He started staying out late, smelling like alcohol. He said he had to work weekends, but I never saw proof. Even when he went to visit his family, he stopped asking me to come. I asked him once, "Why are you so distant lately?" He brushed me off. "You're just imagining things." But I wasn't imagining it. I felt the distance like a wall growing between us. One Sunday, out of the blue, Jack said he was going to his parents' house and told me to come too. I was surprised. He usually didn't want me there, but I was glad for a chance to see Lucy. We even stopped by a bakery to buy some pastries for his parents. When we arrived, his mom gave me her usual sour face until she saw the treats. Then she smiled like a kid getting candy. After some awkward small talk, I asked about Jack's dad. He wasn't home, apparently. His mom eyed me and said, "Why are you asking? Got something to tell him?" Before I could answer, Jack snapped, "Don't stick your nose where it doesn't belong." I stared at him. "We're married. Why are you keeping secrets?" "Stop nagging," he muttered, walking away. His mother chimed in too. "He's right. If Jack doesn't want to tell you something, it's not your place to ask." I kept quiet, but I was fuming inside. Just then, Lucy entered the room, cheerful as ever. "Oh, Jack, you're here." Jack smiled and said, "Perfect timing. I wanted to talk to you." Then, casually, he mentioned planning a family trip to Hawaii next month. Lucy blinked. "I'm not going. I don't even have a passport." That was when I knew something was strange. Jack barely had time to breathe at work, yet he was planning a long vacation. "Jack, is everything okay with your job?" I asked. Before Jack could respond, his mother snapped again, "You're being nosy. Don't interfere with Jack's decisions." That's when she dropped the real reason we were there. "You'll be staying here to look after Lucy while we're gone." I was surprised, but not upset. Honestly, I'd rather stay with Lucy than spend a week with my in-laws in Hawaii. I agreed, but I still didn't get why we had to drive all the way there for that. Jack said he figured I'd resist and wanted his mother to pressure me. I was stunned. I left the room and went to see Lucy. When I walked into her room, her face lit up. "Lisa, you came. How have you been?" I told her Jack dragged me along, and she gave me a knowing smile. "Jack's different now, huh?" I nodded, and Lucy invited me to stay the night. We talked and laughed like we always did, and for the first time in a long while, I felt happy. As I got ready to leave, Lucy gave me a small wink and said, "Something big is coming, just wait." I didn't know what she meant, but a month later, I found out. The day Jack and his family were set to leave for Hawaii, I packed my bag too, but not for the same reasons. I arrived at their house, ready to spend the week with Lucy. Jack's mom reminded me one last time, If anything happens to Lucy, it's your fault. I gave her a smile and went upstairs. That's when Lucy leapt out of bed, full of energy, and said, "Let's get going." My jaw dropped. What? That's when she told me everything. She'd been faking her condition for over a year. Why? Because her mother hated her. She revealed something even more shocking. She was actually her father's daughter from his previous marriage. Jack and his sister were her half-siblings. That's why her mother never cared about her. "And your dad knows?" I asked. "Yeah, he's the only one who's always protected me," she said softly. I was still processing that when Lucy dropped her real plan. "We're going to Hawaii too," she said with a mischievous grin. "We're flying out today. Same resort, same everything." I stared at her. "Wait, what? Lucy, do you even have a passport?" "Yup, got it last month, and don't worry about the money. My dad's paying for both of us." I was completely stunned, but the idea of surprising Jack and his family in Hawaii, it sounded too good to be true. I laughed and said, "Well then, Lucy, let's go surprise them." "See, I'm really looking forward to this." That's what Lucy said, full of excitement. As we made our way to the airport together, she and I were off to Hawaii, just the two of us. I couldn't believe it. Only a month ago, I was being treated like a servant by my husband's family. Now, I was heading for a tropical vacation with Lucy, the same sister-in-law they'd left in my care. Except, of course, no one knew Lucy could walk and talk just fine. My father-in-law had come to see us off. He'd paid for our plane tickets and even booked our stay at the same fancy resort Jack and the rest of his family were going to. I thanked him, feeling a little guilty. "Thank you so much. I really appreciate everything, especially the cost." He smiled gently. "Don't worry about any of that. I just want you both to enjoy yourselves and be happy." After a long flight, Lucy and I finally arrived in Hawaii early in the morning. We took a taxi straight from the airport to the resort. Once we checked in and got to our room, we both collapsed onto the beds in disbelief that this was really happening. The hotel was gorgeous, exactly the kind of place you'd expect to see in travel magazines. As we unpacked, I said, "Your dad must have traveled a lot. He handled all the arrangements like a pro." Lucy laughed. "Oh yeah, he's been all over the place for work. Hawaii's nothing new for him." We were still recovering from the flight when Lucy mentioned a bold plan. "I bet Jack and the others are eating at the hotel restaurant tonight. What if we made a surprise appearance?" I blinked. "Really? That actually sounds fun. But first, nap?" "Definitely." Neither of us had slept on the plane, so we took showers, crawled under the covers, and fell into the deepest sleep. When I woke up later in the afternoon, Lucy was already up, brushing her hair and doing her makeup. "Sorry," she said, "I think I overslept." I yawned and smiled. "No, me too. That nap saved us." By the time we were ready, it was around 7 p.m. I offered to scout the restaurant first, just to see if Jack and the rest of them were really there. I crept into the restaurant and spotted them right away, sitting at a large table, laughing and chatting like everything was perfect. But what caught my eye was the unfamiliar young woman sitting next to Jack. She definitely wasn't part of the family. I ducked behind a pillar and listened from a distance. That's when I heard it, Jack's voice, cold and arrogant. "I'm just glad it's not that woman today." My heart dropped. His mother replied, "She really was a bad match. Honestly, I wish we'd had an elegant daughter-in-law like this one from the start." Then Jack added, "I'm going to divorce her soon. We just need a reason. Even if there isn't one, we can make something up. She's such a disappointment. I want her out of my life." And if that wasn't enough, my mother-in-law chimed in with, "I just want a grandchild, from you and her." She smiled at the other woman. I stood there frozen. They were trashing me like I was garbage. That's when I knew, this wasn't a family I wanted to stay in anymore. I quietly slipped out and returned to our room. "Lucy," I said, "I saw something really upsetting." "What happened?" "Jack's here, with another woman. He and your mom were saying awful things about me. He wants a divorce, says I'm a bad catch." But honestly, I felt relieved. "I'm ready to leave him." Lucy gasped, her eyes wide. "That's awful, but yes, if you're ready, let's show them who they're really dealing with." We headed to the restaurant together. This time, we asked to sit near Jack's table. They hadn't noticed us yet, still busy whispering cruel things. I couldn't believe how easily they insulted me, like I didn't even matter. Lucy looked at me and gave a small nod. I stood up, walked over, and said loudly, Are you all enjoying your lovely dinner? They turned, and the looks on their faces were priceless. Jack's jaw dropped. My mother-in-law looked like she'd seen a ghost. My mother-in-law stammered, "Why are you here? And, Lucy, how are you standing?" Lucy walked up beside me and smiled sweetly. "Oh, I don't need a wheelchair anymore. In fact, I've been just fine since last year." Jack blinked in disbelief. What? "Yeah," Lucy said, "but I kept quiet. It was easier to let you all think I couldn't walk or talk. That way, I could hear how you really spoke about me." My mother-in-law turned pale. Jack tried to cover it up. "We weren't saying anything bad about you, Lisa." I held up my phone. "Would you like me to play the recording? I got every word." They froze. Then Jack exploded. "You're always making a big deal out of nothing. Stop playing the victim." I stared at him calmly. "Jack, I'll be filing for divorce as soon as we get back. You're here on a trip with another woman, and since you called me a blank lottery ticket, I expect you to pay up, generously." My mother-in-law changed her tune immediately. "Lisa, honey, please forgive Jack. This girl isn't even with him." I smirked. "I'm sorry, I'm not interested in fixing anything. Since I'm so worthless, I'll just disappear from your lives. Oh, and I may ask her for alimony, too." The woman turned ghost white and began shaking. Jack fell to his knees. "Lisa, please, don't make a scene. My company will fire me if this comes out." I raised an eyebrow. "You should have thought of that before bringing a girlfriend on a family trip." My mother-in-law joined him on the floor, sobbing, "Please, forgive my son." By then, the whole restaurant was watching. The manager came over to quiet things down, but Jack shouted, "I can't pay anything." The manager called security. 2 large guards appeared and gently, but firmly, dragged Jack away while he struggled and cried. His mother and the other woman just sat there, stunned. Lucy and I were stunned too, but also satisfied. As we walked out, I thought, this is exactly what he deserved. A week later, Lucy and I flew home. Jack had returned too, but I heard from someone that he'd been in a daze the entire time, barely speaking. The very next day, I went to a law office. A friendly female lawyer listened to my story and said confidently, "We can win this. Not only can you divorce him, but we'll go after alimony from both Jack and the woman." 1 month later, the lawyer confirmed that Jack had been seeing that woman for at least 6 months. I told her, "Good, then squeeze them for every penny." She smiled and nodded. 2 months later, I was officially divorced. The money hit my account, and I couldn't help but whisper, "That's karma for calling me a blank lottery ticket." But the story didn't end there. 3 months after the divorce, Jack and my mother-in-law showed up at my door. They looked terrible, thin, tired, and broken. Jack said weakly, "I'm sorry, can you lend me some money? I lost my job, that woman ran away, I don't even have food." My mother-in-law was crying, "I got divorced too. Please, Lisa, help us." I stared at them coldly. "Sorry, but I owe you nothing. I will never help you." Then I shut the door and sprinkled salt at the entrance to cleanse the bad energy they'd brought into my life. I was finally free.